Good morning and welcome to the first session of Day 3 of Tamebay Live Brand Day. And excited to be joined in this session by Andrew Rowson of Ecomotors, which is, are you in control of your brand on marketplaces? Going to be a really interesting discussion about what brand control really means and how it works on key marketplaces, the benefits and how you can actually make it happen for your business. So delighted to be joined again by Andrew Rowson, Head of Services for Ecomotors and CEO of Emotive. Andrew has been around for as long as I can remember on marketplaces. We've known each other for years. He grew his own business to become one of the absolute top eBay sellers in the automotive vertical on marketplaces, before he went on to found Emotive in 2012 to help brands and manufacturers grow in the world of multi-channel commerce. Today, Emotive has offices in the UK, in the US, in Bulgaria, in Tunisia, so it's pretty much a global business. And Andrew is also a co-founder of Ecomotors. So welcome, Andrew.
Thanks, Chris, for that introduction. And yeah, Chris and I go back a long, long way. So it was good that he said some kind things about me. So thank you for that as well. But yeah, no, thank you. And also thank you for inviting us for this presentation and giving you some insight about what we do and our experience with brands. Please ask questions as the audience as we go through. This is really for you to get out of it as much as we try and present to you as well. So if I know the answer or I can guide you, I'll more than happy to help you. If not, I'll take details and I'll come back to you as well. So yeah, no, it's good to be part of Tamebay Live, Chris.
Yeah, and if you do have questions, you'll find a red tab just beneath the presentation screen which says submit a question. If you submit a question, it'll come straight through to us, and we'll get through as many of them as we can at the end of the session. But first of all, Andrew, I want to talk about what brand control really is and why it's important. And I think there's so many reasons that really matter to brands that look at marketplaces and they worry about loss of control of their brand. They worry about the brand experience. They worry about who's selling their products. So tell us a bit more about what brand control is, and set the scene for us on what brands should be looking for and how they can look at control of their brand and maintain the brand experience.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a great place to start. So let's talk about the foundation and why brand control on marketplaces is important. So let's kind of scale this back a little bit. And if we look at offline, let's forget about marketplaces for a second, and we look offline and imagine you've got a store in a high street or a mall, and you've got a stock shop front there, and you invest a lot of time in there in getting the right image in the window. You also make sure that the items are presented well in the store as well, and the signage is there. It's all there to represent your brand. There's not much difference between that and the reasons why you need to do that online, whether that's on your website or whether it's with marketplaces. So, and there's a lot of things that you can do in order from starting as a brand and establishing a brand and that journey from day one. And then if you are a brand, whether you're a big billion-dollar brand or you're a brand that you are well known within a locale or online, and you want to take back control of that brand on marketplaces. And we'll talk through a few instances and a few examples of that. But the control is there, and it is really, really, really important that you don't stick your head in the sand. Otherwise, other people are controlling your brand. That is really important.
And I think the reality is for most brands that even if they don't engage with marketplaces, they'll probably find other people are selling their brand on the marketplaces anyway.
Absolutely. And I know that from starting back in the day in 2003, and I was creating a brand in respects of a store brand, but I was fundamentally a reseller. Okay, and trying to get data from some of these big, well-known brands was impossible back then. So I had to create it myself. The imagery, UPC, EAN number. You went to, particularly in automotive, which is the area that I started in, trying to talk to them about a barcode in the UPC and the EAN. They go, "Oh, we're not selling in Sainsbury's or Tesco's. We don't need to have that sort of thing." And actually, that 13-digit code is a reflection of your brand. It's another key thing where then Amazon evolved, and they run their store. You start with a UPC or EAN in order to list. So it's so important for something that started out as a barcode to improve scanning in retail stores has evolved into a unique identifier. And that's split down where you've got a country code, you've got a manufacturer code, and then you've got a product code in that digit. So it is really important that you don't allow, as a brand, someone else to use a unknown UPC or barcode number, because they're just taking control of your brand away. And Amazon will just flag that, for example, as against the reseller, not the brand. But if that's already happened, I'll talk through some things where you can take that back and that control. It's a lot easier if you start out, right? But it's, all hope isn't lost with regards to that. Marketplaces are really, really important. Depending where you are around the world, the US and the UK, you've got different figures. 60 to 80% of all consumers that buy online will buy on a marketplace. So it is really, really important that you're representing that brand there, and you're representing in the right way. Otherwise, other people are controlling your brand in those marketplaces, and you don't necessarily need to sell on those marketplaces. Of course, that is a real big option, and I'll talk through why and how you can control those different marketplaces, both from your brand and your selling point of view. But it is important that you don't stick your head in the sand, and you do engage one way or another with those marketplaces, because someone else will take control of your brand from get-go if you're not in control. Chris.
Yeah, so this is absolutely fascinating. And I think before we dive into the solutions, I think it's worth running through some of the common problems that brands actually face, and actually looking at what the fundamental issues are. And really, I've said the common problems, but really what I really mean is the concerns that brands have when they look at what they consider often as the wild west of retail and marketplaces, although it is highly kind of regimented. But when you look at it from the outside for the first time, you see your brand is there all over the place, and you didn't even know you were selling on that marketplace, but people are buying your products there. So what are the common problems that brands are facing? What are their real concerns that they want to address?
Yeah, and we're putting this slide up. These are the four main common problems, and how to tackle that. There's solutions. So the first one is the counterfeit issue, the challenge. That has become more manageable, and there's programs on different marketplaces to manage that. And depending on where you are in the world, the local governments either make that marketplace responsible jointly, or they give tools to the brand, or make responsible for the marketplaces to allow tools to make that control in there. And again, we'll talk through a few of those as we go through this presentation. Representation of how their brand looks. Okay, so I talked back in the day in early 2000s. Remember that when it was all dial-up, and you used to wait 5 minutes for a picture to appear on the screen, and that was a celebration when that happened.
Andrew, I can remember a time when brands couldn't even put a picture on some marketplaces, and then you had to pay extra to put a picture on.
Absolutely, and actually you didn't need to. For our first listing was a title and a little bit of description. And that was it on eBay. Yeah. And we sold stuff, we did sell stuff on there. But as things, and it's right, as time and time goes on, they've improved that buying experience, and it is important. Marketplaces need buyers and sellers, so they have to embrace. And you look at different marketplaces like Amazon and eBay, they are groundbreaking in new technologies. You look over in the US, for example, and what Amazon are doing with regards to their alcohol delivery in New York within 2 hours. You're having a party in New York City, you can just order and they'll deliver it because you're going to run out. That was back in the day when you could have a gathering. That will come back soon. But yeah, that sort of thing. And they are groundbreaking with regards. Click and collect on eBay, they're groundbreaking in the UK. That really was a game changer for both the Argos network and also for eBay. By being on eBay and being in control of that, your brands, you'll gain coverage in that, and you can tap into those different programs as well. How back in the day when we started listing, we had to create the pictures, we had to create the copy text. There was data, particularly in the automotive field, and that's still the case now. A lot of B2B data where people order by part number, and they just need to, they just need to know they're ordering a screw, or they need to know they're ordering a nut. Don't necessarily need to know where that nut and screw is going, because as a B2B buyer, where it's going. But as a B2C buyer, you need to know, what car you have, and the buying journey is different. So the data and the brand data around that wasn't available. So we had to create it, and I've got to say some of our images weren't great, in the early days. There weren't any image samples. Yeah. We did have a few images where you had my foot in the image in the early days. Yeah. Because we needed to get on there in order to sell. Now, it's important that doesn't represent the brand. And particularly if you're building the brand, you look at brands like Apple, the power is their brand. Yeah, not necessarily, they probably haven't got the greatest computers in the world, but the Apple brand, everyone wants to be part of it. And that's great.
You upset people, Andrew, saying they haven't got the greatest computers. I know that those people with their Macs are going to be all over you here.
Do you know what? I'm bought in. I'm on a Mac now. I can't go back. Once you go to Mac, you never go back, do you? So that's kind of the phrase there. But no, they built the brand, and that touches everywhere. So whether whether you're going into a reseller of Apple, whether you look on their website, whether you go into an Apple store, that brand looks the same and identical throughout. What makes marketplaces different? It doesn't, You've got to have that continuity. And marketplaces have realized this as time has gone on, yeah? And they've allowed the brand, particularly Amazon, where it always very much Amazon experience, they have taken the foot off the pedal a little bit and allowed brands to have their own featured store, their vanity URLs, because they realize that that's what brands want. And if you're going to engage with Amazon, then that is a deal breaker if they don't allow that sort of thing. So data is really important, and making sure your brand is reflected right on there is really important as well. And then the biggest one is price control. Yeah, one of the biggest areas. Now, depending on where you are in the world, there's lots of legislation around that. So price control in European Union, we know you can't enforce price. That is illegal, totally illegal. In the US, it's very much open season there. So you can go out there and say, look, if you're selling to Amazon, or you're selling to a distributor as a brand, or you're self-selling as a brand, you can set that price. But there are ways to control that, and that's controlling the distribution of that brand, and I'm working with partners that share your whole ethos around that. So, I talk to a lot of B2B manufacturers, particularly as Econ Motors in the automotive field, and they are really, really worried about these conflict of channels. That is one big thing. But you can't ignore the amount of people that buy on eBay automotive parts. And actually 20% of people that buy on eBay are actually B2B customers anyway. So you're actually losing out of that if you don't engage on that. So there's loads of reasons, Chris.
I think to kind of summarize, I think you've identified three key areas for brands. First of all, the brand image and brand experience and control of that. Secondly, what people will call PIM, or product information management, which is controlling how their product is displayed on a marketplace. And that, if you've got the barcode, the EAN or the UPC, that gives it a really easy way of pulling that information into the marketplace and displaying the product information that's up to date and correct. And then the third is the price control, especially for, I think, luxury brands. No one wants to see a product that's sold for £100 in a shop sold for £20 online, because that just destroys your whole channel structure. So there's some really interesting things coming out here, Andrew, and I hope we're going to pick up on those three key things: the brand image, the product information management, the pricing, as we go through.
Absolutely.
So, are we ready to look at marketplaces? Can we look at, say, eBay first and see what's available on eBay to actually protect my brand?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you're not alone there, and again, it's one of the reasons why I was excited about doing this is to advise sellers and brands the tools that are out there. So eBay has evolved over the time as listing, but also as about management on those platforms as well. Being honest, some of it's been forced because some governments, particularly France, for example, there's been a number of court cases in order to make the marketplace responsible with some fashion brands on there. But actually it does make it a better marketplace for buyers as well. So, the long-term effects are good, and that's why it's important that there is control on there. So eBay does have a program in place. It's called the Vero program, which stands for Verified Rights Owner Program. Not sure what the E is there, but I think it's better than Vero. Vero sounds better, doesn't it? So I guess that's why they named it that. Now, that allows brands and manufacturers to engage with eBay in order to firstly solve things such as the counterfeit issue. Okay. Now, as a brand and manufacturer, if you wanted to engage and use it as a channel to sell, then eBay will assign things such as account management and help you through this process. If you don't believe, it's right for you to do that at that time, there's still this program open to you where you can register and you can enable you to protect your brand on there. And there's also third parties that will do this. We do this within the automotive field, but there's a lot of agencies out there that will do that as part of the brand protection portfolio that they do online as well. Now, price cannot be a driver. Because of it being illegal in the European Union, and I said it is okay in the US, but the challenge is eBay is an international organization. So somebody in the US can enable their listings to be sold in Europe, cross-border trade. There's an event on that tomorrow in Tamebay, just let you know about that on Tamebay Live. But that will then mean if you're selling to a European Union resident, you're still infringing on the price fixing, or they call it price control law. So this is why eBay will not allow you to do that, and Amazon similarly as well. So because of they are international marketplaces. But there are a lot of other things in place, such as trademark infringements. You spend a lot of time building that brand. You spend a lot of time marketing that brand and the quality of that brand as well. So it is easier with regards to registering your trademark, and you need to do that for Amazon with either the US Patent Office, the UK Patent Office, or the European Patent Office. And if you want to sell into Asia, there's equivalents out there as well. Once you've got that, you can then show that you have got that patent or that trademark that's registered there. Counterfeits, if people are saying it is your brand and they're selling it as your brand and it's not your brand, then that is illegal. Just as in the UK, we have trading standards that you hear where they raid shops and things like that in bricks and mortar to stop that, counterfeit cigarettes, counterfeit luxury goods. It's the same on marketplaces. The laws apply in marketplaces. So eBay give you this facility in order to actually control that. Things like warranty, logo, copyright infringements, designer rights, and parallel imports. Now that's a little bit more of a grey area. We call them grey imports, and it is a grey area. One of the things, as we all know, the internet has brought is it's opened up the whole world as a marketplace for us. And I no longer book holidays with travel agencies. I will always book my flights on one site. I'd also book my hotel on another. And the internet has enabled that. And it's the same with purchasing goods. So if you have, in the European Union, it's more stringent. If brands give rights to people to only sell in Germany, then it's difficult to enforce for them to sell, not to sell in the European Union. In the US, again, it's a lot easier because you can say, look, this person doesn't have rights to sell my brand in the US, and the Vero program enables you to actually enforce that. How it works? So basically, you need to register on eBay an ID. And then you have to list your first infringement based on these different factors as a brand with eBay. You need to prove that you've got rights to do that. And that's either as a brand distributor to control the brand in a territory, or it could be that you are the brand and you point towards the trademark that's been registered there. You have to do manually the first few, and then once you've done that, you'll get given access to a console. And then it's kind of guilty then as a seller if you report them, then they have to prove their innocence. Okay, so how that works is that you then put the ID into this console, and then that listing is taken down. And then eBay will ask that seller to prove that they have got rights to sell that, or prove, it's been reported it's a counterfeit. Please prove that, send us invoices. Please prove that this is a genuine article. And if they do that, then they will come back to you, and then there's a conversation that's had whether to enable those listings again. Be mindful of, though, it can't be abused. So if there's too many sellers come back and prove themselves, then that right to report gets taken away. So it needs to be used wisely, but those systems are in place in order for you to control that brand. Does that make sense, Chris?
Yeah. So I think the challenge here is that if someone has legitimately got your products, they should be allowed to resell them online. So, for instance, if you were kind enough to send me some aftershave for Christmas, Andrew, and it's a top quality designer, but I just don't like it, I should be allowed to sell it on eBay, and the brand can't really say, hey, Chris, you're not allowed to sell that. So this isn't control of stopping people selling your products, because even a consumer could resell a product. And as a brand, I might have got your product from a high street shop that's got shut down because of the pandemic and had to liquidate their stock. So I might have perfectly genuine stock, and this is not a program to stop people selling your products. This is a program when someone has got counterfeits or are misusing your brand, that you control your brand. So we've got a question coming, which I'd kind of like to address now, which is, what are marketplaces doing to reduce the impact of unauthorized third-party sellers have on pricing strategies? And they say that sometimes it feels like a race to the bottom. So I think this is particularly apt with what you've been saying about price control laws, and the fact that it's illegal to have price fixing. But what are marketplaces doing to help reduce the impact of unauthorized third parties that are lowering pricing?
Yeah, no, that's a really interesting question and an important question that we come up against, particularly when we talk to brands and manufacturers. So let me try and address this. Marketplaces have these programs in place. As I said, if your challenge is just about price, being honest, you're not going to get anywhere. But there are other areas you can, in order to control. The first thing is actually trying to understand where that item is coming from. And if it is a B2B seller that is sourcing from you, have a conversation. I would always say, don't use the programs and marketplaces to be a shock and awe type strategy. If you have a relationship with that person and you never had a conversation, have that conversation first. Okay, that's seller. Once you've had that conversation and you feel that they, are amenable to it, then what you can do is you look at the other points. Okay, so if they are using your imagery and they don't have permission to do that, that is a reason in order to report that listing. The same with the copy text as well. The same as trying to represent your brand in the wrong way. So I'll give you a good example, particularly in the automotive field. Okay, so the way the title is written on eBay, I might be selling a brake pad set, and it fits a Ford Focus. Okay, if I put the title Ford Focus brake pad set, that is contravening the Ford brand. Okay, so Ford can go down and say you need to remove that. Okay, because I'm insinuating that this is a genuine Ford Focus brake pad set. Okay, if I put brake pad set fits Ford Focus or for Ford Focus, that is not infringing on Ford's copyright at all. Okay, because actually it fits that vehicle, and in order to sell it, I need to tell the buyers what it fits. But what I am saying, it's for the vehicle, it's not the vehicle manufacturer's part. So, it's how you word that. So you need to equally say that, if you are the brand and the way they represent it in the title of the copy text, if they are using, for example, mobile phones, I think a lot of people already know this, but if they're using keywords spamming and they've got let's say a Samsung phone and they put not Apple in the item specifics or in the title, that's a definite no-no because they're trying to generate traffic on that. And as an Apple brand, you can go and report that and get that removed off as well. Marketplaces are getting more cleverer as well. So there are, as sellers, you may have come foul to that where you get your listings instantly taken down because there are bots there just checking the content, checking that, and that's going to get more clever. It's going to be checking images. eBay's come out with some real good, search by image technology, and that will be used for enforcement as it gets better and better as well. So, I've got to say, there's no golden bullet to say you're not selling up my price off, but there's ways around that. So hopefully I've kind of helped that. And without looking at specific examples, I'm more than happy to take that away and talk to the person that's raised that question, and we can have a look at that as well.
Absolutely. And best way to get hold of Andrew is to drop past the Ecomotor showcase and just leave a message. So we've had a look at eBay. Can we have a look at Amazon, the other big marketplace in the UK, and what's available to protect my brand on Amazon?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. There's a lot more today than there ever has been because Amazon's been on the journey, and Amazon are successful for one reason is that they're very, very, their brand in its own right, is the power. So and this is one thing that other marketplaces has been jealous of. We look how you can't look at in a post office without seeing that box with a smile on, and that is the power of their brand. What they have done is they wanted to keep that. So whether you're Gucci or whether you're Mont Blanc or whether you are Apple selling the products, they wanted it to be still Amazon. Okay. However, that's been a barrier then for them to start engaging with brands. So they've put a lot of programs in place to do that. The first thing is to tell Amazon that you are the brand. Okay. So there is a process where you can go through that. You do need to register an Amazon account. And once you've done that, you can then sign up for what is called brand registry.
Yeah. Can I just check? When you say you need to register an Amazon account, for many merchant accounts, you actually have to pay a monthly fee. Do you have to pay anything to register to control your brand?
Not to register, but there is a monthly fee involved. In the UK, it's around about £25 a month. But the tools they give you out the back of that would be well worth the money as well. So you don't necessarily need to sell on Amazon as a merchant, but you can then use the merchant's account to control the tools that they give you in order to do that. And you know, that's Amazon's way as a service provider. To be an authorized service provider on Amazon, I had to register an account with them in order to do that, and that's how they control of that. And the reason that they also do that is because they have a very rigorous compliance check into the organization, the company, and it goes through that process when you register the account. That is a journey in itself. As we know, we live in a compliance world nowadays. So, and you know, you do feel like you are in a loop sometimes, but once you get through that, the benefits, you know, far outweighs the pain to do that. So that gives you a number of tools. One of that is reporting, and you can actually report listings that don't conform to all the different things we've just mentioned, except for price. The other thing is to take back control of your listing on Amazon. That's really, really, really important as a brand. So I mentioned, you know, when you started listing on Amazon, and if it wasn't on there, then Bob's Autos or the person that would list first would create that listing. They'd create all the content on there. You know, one thing that Amazon work on is a cataloging system. It's different to eBay, where you have one listing and everyone then bids against it. On eBay, everyone creates their single listing for that item, okay? And it is slightly different. And it's different around the world with different, you know, on Buy's cataloging system. Walmart is a cataloging system. So you need to embrace that. From a control point of view, it's a lot easier on Amazon than it is on eBay, because you just need to deal with one listing for one product. And it is against Amazon policy to list the same product twice. And that's why we go back to UPC and the AN number. If someone tries to list that item and it's already on there, they can't create it. They have to list against that item. So it's important for you to A, register the brand, and then B, take back control of those listings, okay? Then once you've done that, you can then control things like imagery, copy text, title. You know, one of the greatest problems we have with automotive, and I'll give you a quick example here, is that manufacturers of automotive, particularly braking parts, they sell brake discs as singles, okay? And they have the product code against a single. No one ever changes a single brake disc. They always do them in pairs, or they do all fours. So you have to watch out. Well, whoever's, you know, if it's the brand or manufacturers that listed it under that product code, officially it should be a single, yeah, because that's how they retail it. But then they may, you know, Bob's Autos that's listed it because the brand has never engaged with Amazon previously, they may put double. So you've got to watch out, and you've got to do a bit of a cleanse of that. But once you take control of that brand, you're unable to do that. It also gives you access to things such as A+ content. So all that nice HTML, pretty pictures, video content, you can do all of that once you're the brand and you tell Amazon you are the brand. You can have a vanity URL. So one of our customers that we deal with on the emotive side, Liverpool Football Club, we have a vanity URL for them, LFC, and you'll put amazon.co.uk/LFC, you'll go straight to their store. Okay, and that represents the brands there as well. And that then again, it's the continuity of your brand across all channels, and Amazon allows you to do that. They also have the Amazon Transparency Program. So Amazon acquired a company called Transparency. They did the job really well, so they thought, we'll buy it, okay, and we'll enable you to do that. So that's where you can actually start putting tags on that item, where you can then actually say, this is a genuine item, this is verified genuine item. And the Transparency Program allows you to do that as well. Very easy to sign up, very similar to Amazon. Do it through the portal, and you're enabled to do that. The final thing, it gives you access to stats. You know, Chris has been doing this for a long time in marketplaces. You know that Amazon are very secretive about their sales and their data and that sort of thing. This actually gives brand access to see how well their data, their products being represented, how much sells. Also in the category, where they're benchmarked in that category as well. By registering your brand, you can actually see, how big is Amazon a deal to your brand by other people listing and actually other people selling. So that alone is worth £25 a month, I think.
So there's a lot going on there, and it seems like Amazon are going to make it really interesting for two of the key areas. With the A+ content, that kind of takes care of the brand image, and with the single listing that you're in control of the content on that product detail page, that gives you control of the PIM, the product information management on Amazon. So if you're a brand and you've not engaged with Amazon and just left it to be the Wild West, you can very, very easily step in, reclaim your brand, and stamp your own brand experience on the platform.
Absolutely.
So what I'd like though, Andrew, is to look at some practical stuff. And what steps can brands take now? What are the first things they need to do?
Yeah. So the first thing is to assess. Okay, so there's two streams. You're a new brand, and you want to use marketplaces to build your brand. And we've worked with marketplace brands that have actually, they're selling 100,000 of one product, dollars a month of one product, because they built that brand on that. And building the brand on Amazon and eBay is not too dissimilar to building a brand on normal routes to market, such as television advertising, billboards, and all that sort of thing. It's just a lot easier because they've already got that customer base, and it is cheaper to do that. So I talk to a lot of people that want to build a brand and ask how they can do that, and the answer is actually, how would you do that offline? You just need to have a quality product, you need to have quality packaging, you need to have it look and feel quality, and also create a need for that as well. So Amazon will allow you to do that. You need to also, if you are a brand that has stepped back, don't understand how marketplaces work, people have actually controlled your brand on your behalf, you need to take back control of that. And today there are more tools for you to do that than there ever has been. But I would say you need to do that. Because the longer you leave it, the harder it is. One thing I've got to say, and particularly with listings on Amazon, let's say, I always say, think like a buyer. Okay, why do you buy on Amazon? Okay, you buy on Amazon, you're either going for a brand and you like that brand, you're committed to that brand, and you're just then looking around who can supply it quicker and price. Or you've got to think as a buyer from a review point of view. Okay, so as an Amazon buyer, I will never buy anything that's 4 stars or less. I'll also look on the reviews to make sure that there's 10 or more. So there is actually continuity there with regards to not just Bob's got his friend to leave one review and it's a 5-star review, if that makes sense. Now that's important, because if you're a brand and you've got poor reviews, because things like the listing isn't what they've received. It's a counterfeit, and they're supplying a different item. They're using, for example, a Brembo brake set, and actually they're supplying Brembo brake discs, but the brake pads are a Chinese white labeled product. That and the reviews reflect that. You need to take control, because that's just doing you damage. Amazon, eBay all feed to Google. Those reviews are all seen and they're all visible. Yeah. So it is really, really important you take control. And once you take control of the listings, you can then make a decision to end that listing and reestablish it. Or if it's got great reviews because it's just a reseller that's selling it and the product, people like it, you actually take over those reviews as well. So, it's important to take control. You define your marketplace strategy. Okay, so that's really, really important. I always remember going around a trade show 20 years ago and talking about selling on marketplaces, and people just looked at me. One brand actually said to me, we're just thinking to see whether the internet's going to last. So that was their kind of, because they again, it's education. They just didn't know about it. I actually visited that brand 4 or 5 years later, and I had the same person. It's actually the CEO of the company, and I said, it's kind of not gone away, has it? And he said, yeah, we kind of need to think about this internet.
Might be catching on this internet thing.
Yeah, I think, he's not going to, he's going to catch on. It's going to affect everybody. So yeah, and I think it's important that you define a marketplace strategy, whether that's you selling on marketplaces or whether that's you controlling your brand and marketplaces. It is really important that you just don't ignore them as a brand, and not being fearful of selling on marketplaces. You look at, I mentioned Apple and Samsung. The biggest seller on eBay US is Best Buy. Okay, and Best Buy is the equivalent of, for those who don't know, it's the Dixon store group of the US. Okay, they sell, double figure high $1 million worth of items on eBay alone. They haven't had a drop off on their bricks and mortar stores or their website because of that. They engage it as another channel. Superdry, they engage with eBay. They're doing, 6-figure sums a week on eBay, and they also work with eBay to get counterfeits off. But they're not closing down. Well, they've got the challenge of COVID, but they haven't closed down their bricks and mortar stores because they're selling on eBay or they're engaging with that. So it is a fear, and there are ways, and there's programs with eBay and Amazon where you can embrace that. Things such as Click and Fit will be coming, where you can support your dealer network, not just sell, but you can actually send it to your B2B customers, and they can actually service it and get footfall. That's exactly what happened with Click and Collect with Argos. They got footfall back into the stores. That brand embraced it. So it's about knowing what the options and define the strategy, and then build operational capacity, whether that's internally, whether that's working with a company like us that can manage it end to end for you, because reputation is really important, and managing that reputation as well.
Yeah, so you just mentioned that you can actually support companies here. So what real support is there out there? And obviously the marketplace has got programs. Brands are busy people building their brands and dealing with their normal route to market. So time constraints. We've got those 3 key pillars: the brand experience and how the brand is presented, the PIM, product information management, how the individual item information is conveyed, and the pricing strategy, maintaining pricing in a legal manner, but to maintain the brand. And obviously they don't want all of their retailers undercut. So where can they go for support? Where do you start?
No, absolutely. So there's a number of different areas, and it depends on whether you want to establish a brand and you want to build on a brand, or whether you are a big brand already and you want to control as well. There's a lot of information out there. So everything I've talked about on Vero and the brand registry program, they are buried in the help pages, and the information is there on the marketplaces. So it is, I always say Google is always good. Just use keywords and it will take you to the right page within the marketplace, and they will tell you about the programs they've got, and you can sign up, and then you can manage it yourself, and you can go through that process as well. There's also solution experts, and it depends on your strategy as well. If you want to engage and sell and manage conflict, potential conflicts of channels, then people such as ours, there's a number of other companies out there, third parties and experts, that can actually help you define a strategy, educate you, and then implement that strategy and deliver on that. The marketplaces will also help you, account management as well. If you want to sell on that platform as part of that strategy, they will embrace you. There's no doubt about that. And they will also drive traffic as well, as part of their account management program as well. So there's a number of different options out there. There's systems out there to automate things. There's brand agencies out there that their systems will tap into everything, including marketplaces, and identify the potential violated listings on there. But there's also, if you want to sell on there and manage that and send orders to distributors, there's systems as well that enable that. We'll have one later today on this stage. We work with Volo, which is an awesome system that will integrate and manage those channels as well. So yeah, there's help out there. But I think the first thing is to understand what the options are. I think we've got a couple of questions there as well.
We've got a couple of questions, but there's one I really want to get in because we've not really addressed it. And that is, who within a brand should be driving this? Is this, should this be driven by the marketing team? Is this a board level decision? Is this the individual brand owner within the business's decision? Where should the buy-in come from?
Yeah, it depends on the organization. I think you need to have buy-in from all aspects, because then you have internal conflicts. The bigger the organization, the more people that get involved. You've mentioned marketing, sales, the owner, board level. You've also got, brands, people within that as well. So I think, it is important to get buy-in because and then part of that is education as well. The sales team may see it as a great way to increase their sales, but then they see it as a conflict of interest with their other channels as well. So, it depends. I've got to say, the challenges are kind of the same, but the people that come at you with those challenges are different sometimes.
And then, good question. Do you have any tips on how to identify distributors who are kind of, what they call it is leaking products or breaking their third-party seller agreements?
Yeah, it's easier within the European Union because part of the legislation is if you're selling something, you need to state who's selling it and the contact details on there. So on both eBay and Amazon and other channels, you will see on the listing on eBay who is selling that and their registered company details and their VAT number. And on Amazon, it's very similar, but it is on a profile page, not necessarily on the listings there. So that's the first place to start. And then it's a breadcrumb trail to understand, who they are, who's the owners of the business, whether, you have those relationships there as well. So, US is a little bit more difficult. And what I would do is contact that seller if you do feel that they are breaking agreements. You contact that seller, send them a message. If they don't respond, you do have a lot more, kind of action that you could go in order to get that listing off, and use the Vero program to do that on the other different things. And they will come to you if you remove their listing. For sure.
We're right up about time here, so this needs to be a 10-second answer. What's the best way to differentiate or modify products to lift your product above unauthorized reseller products?
Yeah, so it's a two-tier attack. Let's get the authorized products off, and then it's making sure that brand quality is on there. If you are the brand selling direct, you can actually sell typically 5 to 10, 15% more than the resellers on there as well. If you're new, particularly on eBay, there are account management and acquisition teams that will work with you, actually highlight your products as well. So, and I can talk about that. If you want to come back to me, stop past the showcase, leave your details, and we'll have a conversation about that next week.
Fantastic. And I just want to thank you so much, Andrew, for sharing your expertise. And as you've just said, if you want to get in touch with Andrew, first thing to do is immediately in this networking break coming up, go to the Ecomotors showcase and just drop Andrew a message or leave a message on the showcase, and you'll be able to find out more. And I'm sure I'd be willing to talk about brand protection and management on marketplaces at leisure. So once again, Andrew, thank you so much for your time in this session.
Thank you, Chris, and some great questions there from both yourself and the audience. And yeah, reach out to us.